if that's okay. And I will also get my chat open. So if there's questions that come in on chat. And then I'm also going to mute everybody because I think I got a couple people with their cameras on. All right. Now I've muted you and you can't unmute yourself. We'll just do that until we get to that part where we're asking questions. And I always feel a little awkward on these webinars because I can see you, of course, but it's not the same. Of course, it's not the same as being in person. I will say, if you can turn your camera on, I just so much prefer looking at people than tiles of names. Oh, good. Deanna, you're there. Fantastic. I just sent you an email. If did you get that? Oh, good. Sorry for the very late. A lot of this came together very late. I just got back into town from a little trip in Boise for those who have just jumped on in the last minute. I was visiting a group up there, Legacy Academy. They have a little over 100 students, and it was really fun to be with them. They're using their whole school is using LiftEd for their electives, for all their history and for their science, for their world studies, and then these growth courses that we've talked about. So it was really fun to meet them. But because of that, some of this agenda kind of came together quickly. In this meeting, you're going to hear from Deanna. I just referenced her. Deanna's our finance manager. And you're going to hear from Molly. Molly, you probably already heard from Molly. You probably already talked with Molly several times, right, Molly? And Molly is one of our family success managers. She manages most of the families who have students using any K-8 product, although she lifts in a lot of other ways as well. Nate, who you all know, is here on my screen right above Molly, but who knows where he's at on your screen. And Nate is our student success, our student experience manager. And he'll have a lot of interaction with your students. And we're really excited to have Nate. He does such a good job. You remember him as a coach from the previous year, from 2020-21. Is that right, Nate? 2020-21? Yes. And then we almost burned him out. We had him coaching too many classes. But he did such a fantastic job. We invited him back to be our student experience manager. He'll be working with all of the LiftEd families and arranging all of the classes and all of the study groups. He'll also be working very closely with the HS Online students this year, and has already started working in that capacity as the year ended, and they had some elections for student government. Is that what they call that? Student government, Nate? I'm going to go ahead and allow you to unmute yourself if you have questions or you want to add to that. Let's see who else we had. April, who will be joining us. Oh, there you are.
I can't unmute myself, so if you want to change the setting,
I just did. Yeah,
okay, great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
There you go. And there you have them. We have April. Is April on? She'll be on in a bit then. She's going to share a couple of things about the platform and about content coming, when you're going to be able to access preparation materials that parents will want to have access to before their children are learning each day. I see that she just joined. So April, you can say hi.
Hi, everyone. How are you? Hope you're doing well.
And now, Deanna, you can say hi.
Good morning, everybody. Good to be here.
And Molly.
Hello, happy to be here. Hope it can be helpful.
And Nate.
Hi, I can talk now and you can hear me.
I was being so rude, wasn't I? Nobody could talk. Thank you, Nate. Okay, well, thank you for being here with us. I'm going to get started right at the top of this agenda, and we're going to do two of these. So this is not going to be the last time you hear from us this summer, but we thought it would be really nice to just touch base with you and to communicate our progress, let you know how things are going, and meet some of your students. And I see the Wildings. I can see the Wilding daughter, but the Tietjens, like, how do you say that name? I picked the wrong name. How do you say your last name, Tietjens?
You're pretty close. Pronounced Tejan.
Tietjen, okay. Very nice. And who else? I see some Smith kids here. It's fun to see. It's fun to see some of your children. The Mills. Fantastic. Well, we're going to do a lot more of that in July and in August. And Nate's going to talk with you a little bit about when and how you're going to get to know your coaches, your teachers, and most importantly, your groups, your classes, the friends that you're going to, the friendships that you're going to have this year in your study time and in your class time. Okay, let's go ahead and get started. Enough delaying. I just wanted to start by mentioning that our enrollment will end on the 2nd of July. So we're going to send a last call email tomorrow. We'll send a last call text. You'll get it, but you can just ignore it because you're already enrolled. But it'll go out to everyone. If that's something that you want to share with someone else, just make sure you do that as soon as possible because, and like I said, enrollment will close on the 2nd. We're almost to our 1,000 students for our pilot, which is really exciting for us. It's going to be a really fun group. We'll have a lot of new students. Last year, I think we had close to 600, maybe 700 students at any given time. And so we'll have a lot of new students using LiftEd for the first time this year too, which will also be very, very important for us in our learning process. And how we improve this software over that first year. And how we improve the experience that your students are having together, and how we improve the content that we're recording out of the studio. And so there will be many, many things that we're learning. It'll be just as important for us to have a good experience as it is for you. I know that might sound self-serving, but it's one of the most important things for us this year is to learn from you so that we can improve this in ways that we need to improve it for everybody who will use it next year and all of our high school students that will join us the following year. And so you are, as we've kind of given you the title of founding family, you are founding something with us. We're building this together, and I hope that you are encouraged by that, not scared by it, but encouraged by it. It's something that's exciting. It's certainly something that's very exciting for us at American Heritage School and in the AHS Worldwide program. To be able to be at this point where we're launching a pilot version 1 of LiftEd. It's something that's been in the works for many, many years, not in development, but in design and in architecture and in thought and in planning. And now after this year, we've been working with just a tremendous group who has done a fantastic job at just making our dreams for you a reality. And we're ahead of schedule. So, well, they wouldn't say that, but in my world, we're ahead of schedule, which is, and in your world, because you've seen us be a lot later with some of the things that we bring out. And so we're ahead of that schedule at least, and we'll improve year after year. I wanted Deanna to share just a quick, and maybe she'll even share an apology of some things here in this recording. We have how many families on? There's only 68 families on, but there are over 300 families that have signed up, or close to 400 now. So we'll be sending this out to everyone else, but we can talk about a little bit of a bump that we had already. She'll share that, and she'll just kind of remind you of how we bill for this service. And go ahead, Deanna.
Okay, thank you, Peter. For this pilot year of LiftEd, tuition is $1,056 for the year. That's the full price of tuition this year. And it is tuition for the year that we are having people pay over a 12-month period. So if you signed up in May, your payment started in May and they will continue until April. If you started in June, then your payments will be monthly payments until next May. And then you'll be done paying tuition by the end of the school year. The bump that Peter is talking about. Part of the joy of a pilot year is lots of lessons to be learned and creating things new. And our billing system is a brand new billing system being developed specifically for LiftEd. And it did not record our changes that we made. People whose discounts didn't get applied when they originally signed up. We fixed them and we put you on a list, and thought that we would have that fixed for the next month, but many people experienced that they had the same mistake happen the second time. We have manually gone through them, and I want to assure you that things should go correctly next month. And if we tried to mitigate it by sending an email, so hopefully you received an email. If any of you are still confused about your billing, or if it hasn't been corrected, please email us at payments@ahsworldwide.org, and we will get right on it. I'll put that email address in the chat, but I think that's everything for me.
Great. And just so that you know, you're not worried. All of you do have a discount. So you're not paying the full tuition, but it's important that you understand what full tuition is. And Deanna shared with you that $1,056 is the regular price at which we'll set this, or that we have set it. And it might sound a little high coming from the world that we were in, but it's certainly, a bargain. I don't know of any other provider out there who provides 20+ hours of in-person coached class, plus access to this kind of content daily throughout for a whole school year for less than what we're offering this. In fact, our AHS online program is 4 times that for a similar amount of time with a coach. And it is the LiftEd platform that really makes that possible. There are some services that AHS online students have. There are many services that they have that we use to support those students that we don't include in the LiftEd K-8 platform right now, but those will be forthcoming. And so families who want those kinds of services in future years will have that kind of an experience for K-8 as well. We're not going to talk a lot about that this year, but we'll talk about that in the years that come. But for access to the daily lesson and access to the daily class, it's $1,056. And many of you, based on your membership with us in the past, and we wanted to provide discounts at varying levels based on your level of investment in family school in years past, whether it's a free membership or all the way to a lifetime membership. And so you're enjoying a 50% to 75% discount this year, and every year that you keep the service for your family. And that's for any of your children. So if you have one child signed up and you want to add a child next year, they'll receive that same discount. Okay, any questions about tuition? I don't want to go any further. I want to make sure that we understand that and we all feel good about that. I might add one more thing. It actually doesn't cost $1,056 for us to operate the program, thankfully. It costs far less than that. And yet we're still going to charge that because this is a worldwide outreach, and it's not paying for any of the development of the curriculum. It's not paying for any of the software development. All those things have been donated by generous donors who've made that possible. So you don't have to, we don't have to charge a price that covers the cost of producing content, which is very, very expensive. And it doesn't have to cover the cost of producing software. It doesn't need to cover the cost of maintaining the content and maintaining the software. But it does allow us to charge, what do they call that kind of pricing when they base it off the price index, Deanna, from one country to the next? So a family from Mexico would pay far less than or Ghana would pay far less than a family from the United States.
I don't know a specific name for that.
There's a word that means that in the pricing model world, but it also allows us to build up a pretty substantial scholarship fund. So families, regardless of where they live, if paying even $25 a month, for example, per month per student is too much, then they can apply for a scholarship. And it's not something that we've had in AHS Worldwide, a scholarship program. And so we're going to set this price to be able to enable that differential pricing from country to country, and a scholarship fund that can give back to families who can't afford even a very modest and highly discounted access to LiftEd. All right, April, do you want to give us give everybody an update of when they're going to be able to access LiftEd for the first time?
Yeah. Yes, I was just texting with our UX designer. His name is Al, and he said August 15th is when parents and students will have access to the platform. So before that day, you'll receive an email with the link to log in, and you will log in as a parent using the parent interface, and you will create your student profile pages. And then once you have your student profile pages set up, you'll also have access to the lesson landing pages, which I'll talk about later. I got ahead of myself, but August 15th is the big day.
What's the first day of school?
August 22nd.
Okay, so they'll have it 1 week in advance. They'll have access to the platform. And what will they do?
They'll have to go in and log in. So, and then you'll have to create a login for each of your children. So as a parent, you'll have to go in and log in first, and then set up your individual student profiles by adding their names, or just, I think a lot of that data will actually be imported that we collected, but you'll have to verify that your child's name is correct, their birthday, all of that kind of information. And then you'll create your child's login, and then your children will log in and they can answer questions like, I think there's 7 or 8 favorite thing questions. They'll, the children will finish their profile pages, and then you'll have access to the calendar and things like that. So
Why do we tell them a little bit more about the profile? Like, why do we ask questions about their favorite animal or their favorite Book of Mormon hero, or whatever the questions are?
yeah, that way we can get to know your children and they can get to know each other, right? Because your children will have access to each other's profile pages in the study groups. So they'll be able to access information about other kids in their study group and get to know them, and it'll help them feel like they're more of a cohesive group. So that's really important. They can also message each other inside of a study group and inside of the class time group.
Awesome.
Should be really fun.
Why don't you go ahead? Why don't you go ahead with the other things on the list for the agenda, because it's related to it's related to LiftEd platform.
Okay. One other thing about the profile page is this: you and your student will be able to add a picture of yourselves. And so make sure you get that ready, and then they'll have other like banner images and things like that you'll either be able to select a provided image or actually upload your own. And then once you have your profile created, you'll actually be able to access a prep list, a lesson landing page. So this, what Peter's showing you right now is he was showing you the calendar page. So on this calendar page, this is how you will actually join the live class, or you can go to the lesson landing page from the calendar. So this takes you to the map, but before the map, you can actually see a lesson landing page, because this map won't be live until the day of the class, until that drop time. But before that, there will be a lesson landing page that will show you what the academic concept is, give you a brief summary, this page. So it'll give you a brief summary of the lesson. It'll go over the academic concept, the gospel principle. If there's any pre-reading, you'll have access to this. You can print it, or it'll give you a link to where you can access that. You can also access any materials that you would need for the lesson specifically. That's all available there as well. So you're totally prepared before school starts that day. So hopefully there's not any surprises that way. And this page you should be able to access the pages at least a week prior to the lesson going live. Hopefully more, but at least a week.
And we're seeing this as a student sees it right now, but a parent would see it a little bit differently, right?
True. So parents will go in through course cards. So you'll have your landing page will be a little bit different. You do have access to a calendar. I think you can access it through the calendar, but you'll also have a place that has course cards that you'll be able to go into the course, and you'll actually be able to cycle through the different levels. So your child will be registered for a specific level, and they'll only be able to see content for that level. But as a parent, you'll be able to cycle through different levels and view what's the difference between a level 2 and a level 1, or a level 2 and a level 3. And you'll be able to see all of those differences. So if you go over to, how do we get to the course card from this page?
This is, by the way, this is not a website. This is just a prototype that they use to develop the website. This is all just graphics.
Click
that
on, can you click on the 2022-23 schedule? I don't know if that's live. No.
doesn't let me. Mm-mm.
Yeah. So there should be a card over here that it's either the schedule card, or there might be a courses button that you'll click on, and then your screen will populate with individual little cards that'll say world studies or growth. And so you'll be able to click on that, and that will take you into that course. And then you can cycle through each page for the course. So you could see, okay, this is what the level 1 is, and how there are changes between the different leveled experiences. And so the questions that you get at the end of the lesson, so parents get a text message when the lesson is over that says your child has finished World Studies lesson 1. By the end of the lesson, they should be able to answer these questions. So it creates a discussion between you and your child. And so we have very carefully crafted those questions so they're level appropriate. So the question that you ask your level 1 student would probably be different than the question that you ask your level 3 student, because the vocabulary is going to be different. There are different nuances to those lessons. You would just ask your middle school student a very different question, even though the topic is the same, than the question you would ask your kindergartner. So those will come as a text message, but you can look at all of that stuff in advance on the lesson landing page. So I can try and pull that up here if you want me to show that.
Yeah, maybe I'll come back to it when you have it. I think what's most important is that you'll have access to the platform a week ahead of schedule. That's also when you'll be able to access the prep list for the first unit of content for the first 8 lessons, which is the first 2 weeks. And we'll just stay ahead of you. That's probably how that we'll start to gain a little bit more. We'll start to get a little further ahead of that schedule as the year goes on, but we'll always be at least a week ahead of you, so that you can prepare everything for the unit. Again, we're teaching world studies, growth courses, history, and science Monday through Thursday for an hour. They have access to content, and then they have access to their class. You can see those 2 experiences here, and so I wanted to just remind you of what LiftEd includes. It includes access to 2 things, 2 experiences. The first one we're calling Explore Time. That's when they learn together. That's when they get into this lesson and they have other students that are joining them for a little review game. And then after this review game, then that's when they go and they watch the video that we record in the studio. And as they're watching that video, they're going to have questions presented to them as knowledge checks along the way at their appropriate level. And then when they're finished with that, they might have some more, but they'll have some optional learning that they can go explore and learn that relates to what they just studied with the teacher. Games, crafts, videos. After that's finished, that's when they make the connection. That's when we make the connection. That's when we do the reason and relate that you're familiar with. And I can't get to it. I can't get any further on my path, by the way. Al has to link this one back up, but I can see it here, but I'm not going to take the time to do it. But that's when they get to listen to someone from their home. And we're not recording this in the studio. This is going to be very authentic, a connection to a principal that's connected to the academics. And it's going to be a video, all the same, but it will be a video that's recorded from home. And there'll be other videos there too. If videos from families and people of other faiths, if you want them to review those, not this year, but next year, that'll be the case. This is where they access messages from you. This is where they complete with a little quiz, and this is where they learn more about the record assignments that they'll be working on and discussing together during that second hour, which is the class time. that we're calling right now Connect Time. Now, that's not for sure. I talked with Nate again this morning, and we're not so settled on this brand for this class time. But essentially, just to make it really simple for you, there's a study time that they get together with students of their same age or similar age, similar range, right? Level 1, 2, 3. And they access content together, and they have an experience together with content that's very independent, but it's connected and through technology. Then immediately following, at 10 o'clock, they'll have their class time. We might call it project time. We might call it connect time or create time or share time. But it's when they get together and they're working on something together. They're diving deeper into a concept. They're discussing what they learned. They're asking questions about the content that they just studied. They're sharing work that they completed. And you're very familiar with, most of you are familiar with that because you've experienced Power Hour. We're not calling it Power Hour anymore. We're just going to call it, a little bit more what it is. Like Explore Time is a time where they go exploring together with their friends and on this learning journey together. Connect Time would be very similar. It's where they connect with each other and where they share with each other and where they work on projects together. It's where they get their hands on something and it becomes more of an application of learning, a reinforcement of learning, a reteaching experience for them. Okay, a couple things that I wanted to share briefly. I know Molly has had many people ask her about if they can move to a different group or a different time, and you can. This will be by request only. Nate's going to be working on groups immediately following the closing of enrollment this Saturday. Nate's going to show you some statistics or some analytics on the students, their levels, where they're coming from here in just a little bit. And then he's going to organize all the students and the families based on level and geography, and as much as that is possible, into groups of about 25, 30 for Explore Time, and double that for Connect Time. So we'll have about 50 to 60 students in Connect Time. You'll have a group of 25 to 30 students in Explore Time. Yes, you can request a change. It doesn't mean we can guarantee you that your request will be filled, because we do need to maintain certain numbers for everything to work out financially. But in as much as that's possible for us to move you to a different group in a different time zone that works better for you, if you want to adjust the time that your lesson drops for the day, then we can make that change as well. But we'll change that based on your ability to be with a group. So we want to adjust the times so that you're still able to go together with your group, with your Explore Time group or your Connect Time group. It's very possible that we might have one afternoon group. We're going to work on that now. When we close enrollment, we're going to open enrollment up for another time zone in the afternoon. And we're going to try to fill one class for our Hawaii families, and we'll just see how we get there. Hopefully we'll be able to fill that to the minimum number that we need to carry that particular class. But that's also one small development for our Hawaii families, or our Hawaii time zone families, I should say. All right, let me check this real quick to see where I'm at. April, you've already talked about that. April, actually, Nate, why don't you go ahead, and then April will come back to you for an update on math and language arts. And just a reminder of how they access math and language arts this year and how that's coming along. Nate's going to talk with you about our members, our students right now, where they're coming from, what levels. And then he's also going to talk with you about some July, August parent-student orientation.
Awesome. Thank you, Peter. Hi, everyone. Peter, if you wouldn't mind making me a co-host so I can share some images, I would love to share with them. First, I'd love to share with you the graph for time zones, where we're at as far as rough quantities, kind of percentages of enrollment for time zones. So you'll see here that the majority are in the mountain time zone here in the United States, with roughly about the same in Pacific and Eastern, and right in between there in Central. And so it's exciting to see, families all across the United States that are going to be experiencing this together at times that work well for them. So that's the rough breakdown from the most recent data we have as far as time zones go. And I've been working on a big, fun, complicated spreadsheet, taking the percentages of these time zones and trying to figure out how many groups we're going to need for connect time, or whatever we call it, for each time zone, so that they can have it at the exact same time. And the most exciting part about this for me is the fact that since we're grouping things geographically, well, like we've mentioned before, as this mountain grows and it gets bigger and bigger and taller, it's going to be more and more possible for even those in the areas like Eastern and Pacific to start to get together on Fridays and do field trips and talk about what they learned that week and have their own special events. So that's a really exciting thing to see that growing. And then we've got our percentages of age, basically, or the different levels for LiftEd. And so from the most recent data we have on enrollment, which will probably be about the same as we finish things up here in about a week, we're looking at about 10% level 1, which is 4 to 5 years old, about 59% in level 2, which is what we anticipated, ages 6 to 10. And then level 3, about 31%, which is about ages 11 to 14. These ages, by the way, are not locked in. We really want this to be flexible for you and your students, so that you can pick the level that seems to fit where they're at the best. And so these are rough estimates on the ages. And yeah, that's about where we're sitting at as far as percentages go for the ages of the students that we have enrolled, and we're so excited to meet and have a fun time with next year.
So Nate, could I just share one observation from the data here?
Yeah.
It's very likely that we won't have a level 1 Eastern class, right? Or a level 1 Pacific or Central class. It'll be a combination of a couple time zones, because we just don't have enough students from the East. Now,
for the pilot year, you mean, right?
Yeah, for this pilot year. Now, level 1 actually is actually more of 4 to 6. This is marked just a little bit wrong. So, and then level 2 is 6 to 10, and level 3 is your 11 to 14, or even 10 to 14, based on where that there's a little bit of overlap, right, between each of those levels. So you decide, like Nate said. Mm-hmm. But I think we will have a lot of 6-year-olds in level 1. Parents, you're going to choose. So we'll base it off of your birthday, the birthdays that you give to us. And so there'll be a default level. And then a parent would go in there and adjust the level if they feel like, oh, my child's falling in level 1, but I really want them to be in level 2. That's just something that you'll do manually on your end.
Yeah. So that's exciting to get a rough idea of the quantities of students in those different levels for our pilot year, and it'll be fun to see those grow and change as the years go on. Let's see, and then the other thing I was going to share is that we're going to be doing a Meet Your Coaches and Teachers activity. Probably the last week of July, we'll be sending out information on that. But I'm really excited to plan that, so that number one, the coaches that I'm hiring can share a little bit about them. I'd love it to be something that the kids can connect with. I'd love for my coaches to come prepared with maybe a story about when they were in elementary or middle school, maybe some pictures of them when they were younger, and yeah, a little bit about their family, and maybe where they served a mission, and where they're going to college. So I'm excited to help prepare them for that, and I'm excited for you guys to be able to meet the coaches that you'll have. You'll have more than one coach for your students this year. It could be anywhere from 2 coaches per week to 4 coaches. But from the feedback we got last year, we wanted to provide a variety of coaches, but consistency in that variety, so that after a while, your students know who to expect on a specific day of the week. So that'll be fun. And also it'll be a cool chance for your students to get to know each other, as well as for you parents to get to know each other, and to start to be familiar with the people that are in both the Explore Time groups and in the Connect Time groups. It'll be a pretty casual format. We'll just have you come and we'll welcome you and we'll talk, we'll see where everyone's from, and we'll have a short time, like I said, for coaches to introduce themselves, and then we'll probably play a game or something with some of the new Zoom features that I was researching this morning that make it really easy to get to know each other with breakout rooms and things like that. So I'm really excited about that.
Thank you, Nate.
Yeah.
I know I was thinking about something else, so you may have said it this way, but just in case, I just wanted to clarify that the Meet Your Coaches and Teacher event will be different than the Meet Your Explore Time group and a Meet Your Connect Time group. Did you say it that way? Different days. Okay. So when you meet there'll be an event where you meet all your coaches and teachers, and that'll be it's just a big event where everybody's invited, all the students are invited. And then we're actually going to have 30-minute Zoom meetings for each class, for every single class, where you can just get to know the students in your class. And that's the single purpose is just for your children to get to know the other children in their Explore Time group and in their class, in their class time group or Connect Time group. And those will be on a different time. And we'll set those up probably in a series of days. There'll be 14, 15 different 30-minute meetings that we do those. Of course, your children will attend just the one that they're enrolled in, with the class that they're enrolled in. But that's where they'll just go around quickly, introduce themselves and something fun about them, what their name is. I don't know. We'll come up with some fun things. But that's the purpose of that one. And it's different than when they meet their coaches and teachers. All right. Okay, last thing, and then we're just going to answer some of these questions, some really good questions in the chat we'll come back to. Molly's going to kind of pick up and run our Q&A at the very end. And I'll be here to help, and we'll stay on until about 12:30. We'll wrap up if we need that much time. If not, then we'll end earlier. But April's going to give a little update on math and language arts, how you access those, how that's coming, how those two big projects are coming along.
We are so excited about the math and language arts programs. It will not be in LiftEd this year. That will be available. Our goal is to have that available next year in LiftEd, but this year it's available on the Family School. So make sure you opt in for that. Several weeks ago, we had a math and language arts webinar, and we had a form that went out that you need to opt in, or it will not show up in your Family School profile. So Peter, if we have that link, if we need to send that out again, we can. But it is free for any Family School paid membership, and as joining LiftEd, you get continued access to the Family School site. So just make sure that you filled out the link. It looks like Molly just posted it, and you can opt in, or it will not show up. So that will be available on the Family School site. It is leveled. So unlike LiftEd and our content there are only 3 levels for the content there. But for math and language arts, we'll have 9 levels, 1 for every grade, starting at kindergarten and going through 8th grade. We'll have that for math and language arts. So your child you'll need to kind of decide what level they're on and to start. To begin this year, we will not have any pre-assessments. Those are coming. It is a pilot program. So eventually that will be added where your child could take an assessment and we can help you determine their level. But this year you're going to need to make that determination on your own. And we encourage you to find the appropriate level and try and stick with it and not jump between levels, because the content is not completely fleshed out, right? We're going to be laying the train tracks in front of you as we go throughout the year. So it's going to be really important that you pick a level and then you stay with that level in math and language arts. Or you're going to have to go back. Like if you say, okay, we're going to start level 3 math, and then you realize maybe that's too easy or too hard. You're going to have to go back and start either 2nd grade and start at the beginning. It's just that the whole year of content's not going to be available. So just know that it's there for you, and we want to have lots of focus groups and collect a lot of information and data from you about the math and language arts programs. We want to make sure that the content is top notch so that when we do move it into LiftEd, it is just ready to go. So.
Oh, I just add, we feel really confident about what we're building. That said, it will be, like April said, it's not everything that we want it to be this first year, and that's intentional. Even if we had the resources to make it everything we wanted to, we wouldn't do that, because we have to validate a lot of assumptions we're making about the academic quality and integrity of the resource before we invest a lot of money into supporting resources and producing videos and supplemental games and cards. And these are resources that require lots of supporting resources. You have math and language arts resources, and we will make it as simple as we possibly can. That will be one of the hallmark quality characteristics of our math and language arts programs, that they will be simple and affordable, like everything. But they're big programs. They just require a lot more than building a history course or a science course. Frankly, you just can't get those wrong, right? And you might be able to get history wrong or science wrong in fourth grade, and they do just fine. But you can't get math wrong. You can't get reading wrong. There are great math and language arts programs out there, because you're using them. You're more than welcome to use them. You don't have to use our math and language arts. You don't have to be a pilot of it. They're available to you, freely available to all of our LiftEd families, and freely available to any school family who opts in. And like April said, you'll have access to those from familyschoolonline.org, not on LiftEd, not at lifted.world, like you will with everything else that we've been talking about.
It's coming though. And that's the exciting part, is that by participating in the pilot program on the Family School for Math and Language Arts, you're helping us refine the content so that we can get it to the point where we feel confident about it. And I mean, we feel confident about it now, but even more confident, and that we can get it in its best possible format to be on LiftEd and to live there and to serve students and parents.
Okay, thank you, April. Molly, you want to just start at the top of the chat and go through the questions that have been asked that we haven't covered? And if you need any help with any of the questions, then we're all here to support you.
Okay, so I kind of jotted down some things, so I'll just start with those. So Peter, are laptops and tablets equally usable for LiftEd, or is one preferred over the other? Equal?
We think that tablets will be the preferred device. We've talked with the developers about this, and it seems like a child's ability to navigate through a touchscreen experience will significantly improve the experience for them. But it's fully functional on even as small as a phone, although we don't recommend it. It's mobile friendly, it's tablet friendly, and desktop and laptop friendly.
Okay, and April, when they earn points, they want to know what are the rewards, or what exactly is happening with all of that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, as we push out more versions, we'll have badges and kind of gamification available inside of LiftEd. That's coming in future versions as we update throughout the year. But those points are really good for you to use as parents at home to decide, oh, my daughter really wants a new baseball mitt. So when you hit a certain number of points, that's a great way to exchange something that you were probably going to buy for them anyway, right? And so we hope that you use the points that they're earning as motivating factor outside of LiftEd, but eventually they will be able to earn different kinds of badges. And for this first version, there'll be animals as they level up through. And we need to make sure we understand level, not level 1, 2, 3 as in the level of the content, but level up through the point scale. As they level up through that, they'll actually earn different little animals will start to appear on their profile page. And so they'll go from a very small animal like a fish up to the king of the jungle, hopefully by the end of the year.
Perfect. And also for you, April, they want to know how interactive the study time is. You talk about there being some interaction during study time. What is that? How do they connect with each other.
That is actually a crucial part of, and what makes LiftEd unique is that even though you don't see each other, your students aren't seeing each other in real time, they are interacting with each other through the video relay and from the time they get on, they play the review game and they can interact with each other there. They'll see like how they're faring among their classmates. And then as they go through the videos, they will be given the opportunity to answer a question by recording a video of themselves that their classmates will be able to see. They'll be able to see their other classmates' video interactions. They'll be able to, for this first version, give each other a thumbs up on their video relays, and then eventually they'll be able to actually respond to each other through video as the software develops.
Okay, perfect. That's awesome.
This
Okay.
is where they'll record. This is where they'll record content. They'll submit an answer to a question that's asked, and then they'll see all the other videos that have been submitted by the other students who've been learning. Now, there's a chance that they're the first one, right? And so when they submit theirs, they won't see any others, but that'll happen to everybody at some point. But in a future version, they'll even be able to video back to a student. If they watch one of the students' responses, and they can respond back and just say, oh, that's too bad. I'm sorry you had that kind of experience with one of your friends, or I had an experience just like that. Or, they'll just go back and forth like Video Volley or Marco Polo. That's one of the biggest areas. And then the other one was the first one that actually, this is probably the most significant one, where they're connecting with you. Because we've sent you a prompt, and April talked about that as well, or grandma, because mom forwarded it on to grandma, or dad forwarded it on to mom. And then at the end of the lesson, after their review quiz is over, they'll submit assignments just like they do with Flipgrid right now. We were building our very own Flipgrid right inside LiftEd, and so they'll record, what they did for that day, and they'll submit it, and then they'll all of a sudden be able to see all the other assignments that were submitted by their friends, and they'll be able to, again, video volley back to them, or give them a thumbs up, or type something to them. Any messages that they write to their friends are visible in this little message portal here.
So the goal, can I just add too, the goal of the record assignments is to have them take that time and do it away from the platform. So all of the activities are things that, they may use a computer to do that, but they may be able to do it on paper or pencil. We're trying to make it very flexible so that parents and students can do the record activities in the way they feel is best for them and their family. And then we would love to have them come back and share with us what you did, share with your fellow classmates what you did, and really reflect on, oh, they did it different than me. That's okay. Like, we still did an amazing thing. And our learning coaches are planning on watching those record videos and highlighting those just like they have this year with Flipgrid. So we really want students to make sure that they're coming back to the platform and sharing those record experiences and the things that they're doing post the live class.
Okay, so that brings up a question that I get quite a bit, and I imagine it depends on the subject being studied at the time, but they want to know how much outside study time they're going to be devoting. So they've got the time that the lesson drops, and they've studied that, and they've got the time for the class, but they want to know what's going to be required outside of that for reading, assignments, the things you were just talking about.
Yeah, I think it's going to be, as always, parents can choose how much time they want their students to dedicate to this. We will provide, some lessons will have pre-reading activities. Sometimes that'll be a picture book. Sometimes it'll be a file that they can download and read as a family. And so we will try to provide those, but the lessons could be done without the pre-reading activities, but we strongly encourage that. We also encourage afterwards that the record activities should not be a huge burden. We're trying to not make them great big interactive things that are going to take hours and hours and hours, right? Like, we want to know what your child is learning. We want them to feel comfortable expressing what they've learned in the form that is best for them. For some students, that's going to be making a PowerPoint. For other students, it's going to be drawing it on a piece of paper. For some students, that'll be writing it in a paragraph. For some students, it'll be drawing a picture. And so the flexibility of coming back to share what they've learned and how they've done that through video feedback, through those video comments and records, is your child's opportunity to say, this is what I learned and this is how I did it, right? And so I think an hour on the path before the lesson live drop time is very generous, an hour in the live class, and then maybe 20, 30 minutes post lesson to do the record activities is probably going to be more than enough to get everything done you need to get done in a day.
Can I
Would
add
you say
something
so,
to that?
Peter?
Yeah, well, yeah, I would, but I'd also just change that just slightly. The way that you, the way that they're going to be able to complete assignments will have a big, that'll be one of the most significant differences between what they did last year in class time and what they're doing this year. This year, class time is going to focus on those projects, on those activities. The coaches will be working with them on those activities. The true flipped class is we learn independently. Well, not so independently on LiftEd, right? But we learn in our homes or in our own space with our friends, and it's this independent experience. But then when we come to this live in-person, either physically in person or virtual in person class, the coaches are going to be working on those projects with them. And so that the homework's done with the teacher now, right? And the teacher is teaching them at home. That's the whole philosophy of a flipped class is I can consume content as a student without a teacher needing to be there. Because I've recorded a great teacher and a great lesson, and I've teed up content in a way that allows me to have autonomy and agency in the learning process. Now in class, I can do the homework. We don't call it homework, we call it production-based learning, where students are going to be completing very meaningful projects, meaningful to them, to their families, to their community, to their posterity, right? Things that really make a difference. And so this whole make it matter piece of the class, you're going to hear that. Let's make it matter. Coaches are going to say, okay, let's make it matter today. How are we going to make this matter? All right, we're going to make it matter by doing this project. We're going to learn today. We're going to be working on growing, I don't know, whatever it is, whatever that project is that they're going to be working on over that whole unit. Those are the kinds of things that they're going to be focusing on during power hour. Sorry, not power hour. Got to get that out of my head. But during that live in-person experience. Now, family education centers will do that in person locally, right? And everybody else will do that in person on Zoom this year. And as this all grows, they'll become the access to in-person local communities will grow and grow and grow. And maybe one day this whole virtual class time experience will become obsolete. That would be that's one of our grandest goals is for you to be doing this at your homes, right? With a group of students and rented facilities and maybe churches even one day, right?
Okay. They are working with their coaches during the class time on the projects, but then the parents are the ones that grade those projects.
Sure, if they want to. They'll have a way to grade them.
Will there be any, like when they're on the path in the study time, will there be any kind of quizzes or things that pop up where they can online make choices and it will automatically, maybe give them more points or whatever? Is any of that gonna?
Yep.
Okay.
Okay. Yep. There's they call them formative assessments and summative assessments. So formative assessments are the knowledge check questions that they can't proceed until they've answered the question right. It just ensures that the student's with us, right? That they're following along, that they're understanding the content. Summative assessments, that's the quiz at the end that combines all of the content that they learned into a 5-question quiz, lots of different kinds of questions, fun questions, matching questions, drag and drop, and very interactive kinds of questions, huh, April? And they'll complete that summative assessment at the end. And those are all automatically graded, and the parents can see how they've scored on those. And then the project that they would be working on in class and outside of class, they'll submit a video about what they did, and the parent will be able to watch that video of what they did. And they could give them a thumbs up, or they can say, great job, or hey, we need to talk about this one. Anyway.
That's great. Okay. And then someone just mentioned about high school. That's going to be in development. Right now it's just the K through 8. And I know we're going to get questions about a time frame on that, but we really don't know. It's as soon as possible. 2 years at the very most to get the high school all developed and on there. Okay. And then people are asking a little bit about family school and whether they still access it. Yes. So as Peter said, as a member, as a person who is enrolled in LiftEd, one child or more, you automatically get full access over at family school. Now, there are going to be some people who currently don't even have a family school membership. So we don't propagate those automatically. You'll need to create a family school membership. I gave the link in there, and then tell me, and I will set it to complimentary LiftEd so that you have full access. But if the LiftEd enrollment stops, then our system knows to put you back on a free limited access. That's where you're going to go over if you choose to and do math and language arts. And I have people asking about the levels of that. That's all self-driven. So just like everything else on family school, right now, the way it is over there, the content's available. Use it any way you want to. Dive deep, use the shorter lesson. You know, all of that is just driven by you. The math and language arts will be that way too. You'll see it. It'll have the levels. It'll have all of that, but we're not assigning them. You don't have to write that down anywhere or anything like that. It's just going to be on there. And then when that moves over to LiftEd, or I shouldn't say moves, it'll stay on family school, but when it is available on LiftEd, it will be a little different because it will have videos and things. And so it will be a little more extensive when it's over there. And then we'll add that into how the day, you know, your schedule of the day looks like, probably a different time of day to do the math and language arts. I'm not really sure on that. And whether there'll be a live class, I'm not sure on that either.
Well, I mean, I can answer that. We won't have any live classes or even tutoring sessions for math and language arts. They'll access that whenever they want to access it. Their schedule will be their schedule. They can use our calendar, our LiftEd calendar, to schedule math and language arts so that their children see when math is and when language arts is. But that's the extent of it for this year. It doesn't, by clicking on that, it doesn't take them to the math curriculum or take them to the language arts curriculum. It's not student facilitated right now. It's just parent led. Yeah.
Perfect.
Oh, can I answer a question that somebody just had about?
Please do.
Yeah, there will be audio option for non-readers, but we do recommend that parents with level 1 children, that they sit next to them. At least until they've got it. It's going to take them a little bit longer to be able to navigate successfully, but they will get it as well. But it will take some hand holding, some more attention with those level 1 learners and level 2 until they've got it. Yeah, April.
Can I add to that too, that may not roll out with 1.0 version, but it will be there at some point this year. Like that's another king, and it may be like we're trying to get it to be the best recorded automated voice without us having to go and spend the time and the money in a studio of someone recording all of those, because that would be a huge lift. So we are working on that technology to iron that out. It may not be available right in August, but at some point in the time, I'm hoping to have it available by August, but other things may take priority.
Yeah.
So we'll get that out as soon as possible.
So there's a question that says, so will we teach the lesson beforehand, the morning of, day, or week before? So you don't really have to teach the lesson beforehand, because when it drops at 9 o'clock, that's all the lesson content, and they guide themselves through the track and make all the stops, and they're getting all of their study there. You don't even have to present it at all. Anything to add to that?
No, only if the parent wants to. They don't have to. Some of the content may not be available on the family school site and maybe LiftEd only content. So a lot of the content will be coming from the family school site, or we'll be adding it to the family school if it's a new course. So if a parent wants to, but they don't have to. The point is that when the lesson map drops, your student can log on and get all of the content they need before the live class with their learning coach.
Okay, and then April, anything you've answered in the chat's not going to be available for people who watch back this webinar at a later time. Do you want to just mention some of those that people might be interested in that you've answered?
Somebody asked about Explore Time is the interactive Zoom experience. No, that's the live class. So Explore Time is when they're on the path, and we call it asynchronous because you're not like seeing your student, or the students aren't necessarily seeing each other. There's a little bit of a delay depending on where the student's at on the path and where they're recording those videos, but it's something they do together. That's Explore Time. It's the time on the path. The live interactive Zoom time, Connect Time, AKA Power Hour, that is the live interactive class that they'll do after the path launches.
Okay, and you answered a question from Tara Kobia about when the prompts will come for the parent family members to record.
Yeah, so on the lesson landing page, you can access all of those parent questions. They're called secret admirer questions, and you can choose whether you want to answer that or not. Also on that page, you'll be able to forward that question to someone else in your family, maybe your grandparent or an aunt or an uncle or a friend, right? And they'll get a link either via email or text message that they can then respond. And I believe you as the parent have to come back on and approve that before it's made available to your child. So we just don't have the manpower to supervise everybody. And we hope that who you're sending the link to is someone that you trust. But I do believe you'll have to come back and say, yes, my child can see this video. The other thing about that is if you choose not to record it, your child will just not see that on the map. So we're reducing parent guilt by, if that little button doesn't pop up, it is okay. Doesn't mean that mom doesn't love you. It's just not there, right? So you don't have to do them all. You don't have to do any of them. It's just really a great way for you to interact with your child and still be involved and get other family members involved. I believe if you don't do any after 30 days, you get an email saying, hey, you haven't done a secret admirer. I do believe the settings will make it so that you can actually go in and change how often you receive text message or email prompts, right, Peter, about how often those come to you.
Yeah, if you want to receive them daily, but many of you have multiple children, right, that are using this platform. And so even though the purpose of this is to help a parent to be able to be connected with their learners in 2 minutes, right? Sometimes 2 minutes times 4 times many days adds up to be something that's so you just gotta manage it, and you can manage it in a way that's right for you. And you can pass it off, though. You know, you could, just like a good relay team, you don't have to carry that every day. You could pass it off to dad or grandma or grandpa or friend or family member. There's lots of people who, these are really simple kinds of ways to contribute. Everybody could come up with a response quickly while they're waiting for Johnny to finish soccer practice or piano lessons, or they're driving down the road or waiting in line at Walmart. Or, I mean, that's the idea, is that you can actually be a homeschool mom or dad in the moments, as opposed to all the prep required over a long period of time.
Okay, so there are questions about accessing family school content. Yes, as a LiftEd enrollee, one or more children or whatever it is, you can choose to go back over on family school and use anything that you want to. That's where you'll access math and language arts. And then I do have a question about the people. They have opted into math and language arts. They filled that form, but they have this nebulous feeling that, am I really signed up? So how can they know that for sure? Will the math and language arts tile only show up for those people in family school, or will it show up, but when you click on it, it will say, you have to do something else to access this? Or how is that going to show up for them? And when is it going to show up, the tiles?
My understanding is that if you don't opt in, it won't even show up, right, Peter? It'll just be like it's not there.
That's right. Yeah. And by opting in, it's just simple script that James runs, and everybody who's opted into it will just see it, when it's available. And I'm sure that will also be available around August 15th as well.
Okay, so also August 15th, because that's another big question.
Mhm.
Okay. And let's see here.
I could have been a little bit more clear. When you go to courses on familyschoolonline.org, right now you see a tile for 6 different subjects, actually 7. You see a tile for science and history and geography and art and music and literature, and I think something else, foundations, or
It's the const.
Yeah, they're just some extra courses that we have. And then for those that have opted in, they'll see a math tile and a language arts tile. They click on that, and then they'll see every course in math and every course in language arts.
There is a question about the math and language arts when they do click on it. Some parents are wondering, because of their own math skills and their feelings about that, when they open that lesson, are they going to be able to guide them through? Is it going to be a little bit too hard for them? Are they scripted?
No. So I'm a former junior high math teacher. And when we created the math program, it was my goal to create this in a way that any parent at any level could feel confident in being the guide on the side. So the math lessons are actually being written directly to a student. A student could actually sit at a computer and read the lesson and guide themselves through it if they have that reading level. We've tried to keep it right around a 3rd or 4th grade reading level. So a parent, of course, is going to have to sit with their younger students and help them. But our goal is to try and make this so simple that anyone can feel like they can help their child through the math lessons. So I hope that as we begin to launch these, we've tried to be really careful in the way that we word the lessons and the way that the material is presented, so that parents didn't feel overwhelmed. That is our goal. So hopefully as we launch it and as we do focus groups, we can draw on your feedback and your can help us make these even better.
Okay, and so they're wondering about seeing the courses for this year. That is available. The scope and sequence will list all the classes, and the class schedule will show you how they're scheduled on a calendar type of way, so you can see it that way. Those are available on the website that was already given in the chat, the lifted.org, or you can just go to ahsonline.org, right? That's our regular one. And then under program.
World, Molly. LiftEd.world, not org.
Oh, lifted.world, yes, lifted.world. And then let's see, family, what is it? Not family school, hsworldwide.org, and then hover over programs and tuition, and the very first one is LiftEd. Now, a lot of you have probably already been on that site. That's where you see the little boys on the suitcase where it's drawn to make it look like they're flying in the air and things like that. So if you go all the way to the bottom of that page, you're going to see 3 links. One is to the FAQ, the frequently asked questions, which some of your questions are actually in there. Yeah, he's going on there. So LiftEd, and then you will go down to the bottom after the payment kind of looking stuff. And then you'll see that you have view FAQ, and then scope and sequence and class schedule. So the frequently asked questions has quite a few good answers in there. And we'll update that to put the dates. Right now we say things like, you know, that's going to be coming, or math and language, whatever. But now that we've got some dates, we're going to go through in there and put a little more detail in for you. Okay, so, and then I need to see the chat again so I can see the question. Should we?
While Molly's looking at that, the scope and sequence is the original one. I am working on an updated one. Things haven't changed radically. It's just when we rephrase something or we revise something, that should be updated in the next couple of weeks for the scope and sequence, but the schedule won't change. It'll stay the same.
Okay, and April also, they're asking about supply lists, including basics, you know, the math, language arts, anything like that, any kind of supplies that they need.
Yes, I know we need to get those out. I'm trying. It'll be closer to school starting. We're doing our very best. I'm sorry, but as far as like supply lists, just the basic supplies that you've always used for the family school, that's a great place to start. As far as like math manipulatives and things like that, it's going to be the lower grades that are going to need more things like an abacus. And we'll try and push those things out sooner. I'll talk to our math project manager and see if we can get a supply list together that we can email out to anybody who's already signed up. So yeah.
Okay, perfect.
Now somebody's asking about the scope and sequence, says the first lesson is on August 29th. We're doing foundations week. So yes, the first official lesson starts August 29th. That'll be our first lesson, but the week before that, starting August 22nd, we will have 4 lessons of foundations week. So do plan on starting on the 29th or
Yes.
the 22nd. Sorry, plan on starting on the 22nd.
Very good. And we have people wondering if they opt into math and language arts, are they somehow committed? What if they don't use it? No, it doesn't matter. Just like everything else on family school, we just put it there and make it available. We don't even know when you are logging in or clicking on it or anything else like that. So use it if you find that the content isn't just what you need or whatever, that's fine. You don't have to use it. It's just there because it's a free opt-in. We're just only giving it to people who opt in. Okay, and then I also have one about wanting to know about just a general calendar for AHS worldwide that talks about, you know, breaks and things like that. So the one that's at the bottom of the page that we just showed you, that's pretty much going to have the breaks on it, isn't it, April and Peter? That'll pretty much tell you. And anybody on family school, there are no breaks. Some people do it year round, some people, so they can do it any way that they want to. So that same schedule, or I mean, calendar is what you would look at for our breaks.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, we follow a kind of a traditional school year when it comes to our calendar, with breaks for every holiday, like you would normally have breaks for. We have a longer break for Thanksgiving. We have a spring break we don't call spring break. What do we call that? Easter break. And then we have a winter break, I believe is what they call that. Anyway, you can see that on the calendar though. And we follow the same schedule for our AHS online program, so that families who have students in the AHS online program for the middle and high schoolers also are breaking at the same time that any of the younger students in LiftEd are breaking.
Okay, perfect. And then I have a question about once the lesson drops and availability. So the lesson that drops at 9, that's going to stay continually available to you, days and weeks ahead. You can go back to that. It's the live class that will not be recorded or anything. So if you have a vacation or whatever, when you come back, you're going to be able to do the study time for all of those. You just will not have been able to join the live class.
Or while they're gone. See, that's the benefit of a flipped class like that, is that they can stay right with their class, and they come back and they haven't even missed a beat. Now they might have not joined the live class, but the live class is just to reinforce what they learned. So they're not behind if they don't attend the live class. And they'll have missed some things that are hopefully things that they really don't want to miss, but if they do miss them, they still have learned the same content as their classmates who were in the live class. Does that make sense? So and even if they don't join when the rest of their group joins on the learning path, Explore time starts at a certain time, and if they start at a later time, that's fine. They just won't participate in the quiz with the rest of the kids or the review game with the rest of the kids, and they won't be learning the content along with them, but they can still learn all the same content that the other students did.
Perfect. So if they are able to set up their profile and do all of that as of August 15th, will they also be able to go in and change their address so that their groups will change? Or do you want people who move between now and when the groups are formed to contact Nate? Because he's going to be.
Yeah, they would contact Nate. That would be the way to do that. If somebody's moved since enrolling and they want to make sure that they're enrolled geographically or organized in groups geographically, then they would want to just have Nate update that manually on the spreadsheet, that behemoth of a spreadsheet that he said he's working with.
Okay, so and I just put Nate's email in there.
Yeah.
And now, whoever has control and can share, can you share the contact and then, I don't know, Deanna, do you want to scroll through the questions real quick and see if I've missed any? And then in the meantime, we're going to go to show the page with the contacts so you can see all the ways to contact me.
Oh, you mean on our site?
Yeah.
Molly?
Yes, please.
Sure. On any of these pages, if you just click on support and then contact us, or just support, actually, it'll go to contact us. And frequently asked questions, Molly already showed you how to access that. Text, email, call, and live chat. This needs to be changed, Molly. James can do that.
Yes.
Support at ahsworldwide.org.
Yes. Oh, good. Okay. Yeah. If you can tell them to do that. Okay. So the family school one, those are all going to contact me. I'm Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 2, and that's Mountain Time. AHS Online for credit. This is going to be Elizabeth Henderson, and she has an email and a phone number there for that. And then I imagine I'm going to be doing LiftEd too. So the top 4 will be both for family school and LiftEd. And then for financial questions, you can go ahead and reach out to me there, and I'll put you in contact with Deanna or Hallie over in finance, or you can have the payment link. I'll put that in the chat. If you, like Deanna said, we hope the payment kinks were all worked out, and next time the cycle goes through, everybody will be just fine. But if you do have questions, you're going to reach out to Hallie or Deanna. And so I'll put their email there. Did you see anything, Deanna, in there?
I'm reading through and it seems like April has answered most of them. If they want to opt into math and language arts, she has put a link down there that they can use. I think you talked about the book list too, right? April, that it will be out sometime.
We're gonna try. We'll try. Like it'll definitely be on the pre-reading. We'll try to get it listed out earlier, at least for the first couple of weeks.
Yeah. I think it looks to me like most have been answered. So
There is a question about the Friday field trip. That is totally up to you. We want to hear about it. We aren't going to facilitate it, but we want to hear about it. We want to hear when you're getting together, what you're doing, how's it going, how are you staying in contact. You will be able to message each other, other parents inside of LiftEd. We are going to want to know how that feature is working. You know, just in general, like, how is it going? How's it going? How's this, how we're curating these relationships working?
So that brings me to just in general, how the family education centers are going to work. A lot of people don't know if when they're grouped by Nate into a group, that also puts them into that group and that we are the ones generating the activities, and that's not how it is. So I don't know, Peter or Nate, whoever wants to explain how the families get together and use that Friday flex time and contact the families with them. I don't know if it's going to be a certain leader and that's going to be someone who volunteers, or how that's all going to work. And I need to know too, how a person will, if somebody has set up a family education center and someone, you know, is in that same area, in that same group, is there going to be a button on the parent dashboard where it says contact your local, you know, just so that they can get in contact with it if it's already going or anything?
Well, a lot of that will be forthcoming this year. We have, like I said at the beginning of this, we have a couple groups that we're working with and supporting as a family education center this year. We have a couple dozen other groups that we're supporting as just, you know, learning communities that want to gather around LiftEd content. But a family education center isn't anything specific. It's not a specific schedule. A family education center isn't getting together just on Friday for some celebration or a field trip. The family education center isn't getting together every day to do class in person instead of just on Zoom. It's all of those things. So it's any way that a group of families gets together to support each other. And we just want to facilitate that, whether they're using LiftEd content or not. Now, our kind of family education center will mean something. It'll mean that they are using, so an American Heritage Family Education Center or a LiftEd Family Education Center will mean, oh, this group is getting together and they're all using LiftEd, and that group might meet daily for class, or they might meet daily for learning time and class, or they might meet every day for a little math segment at the various levels, and the language arts segment at various levels, and then learning time, and then class time for 3 or 4 hours a day. We have a group in Omaha with several families who are doing just that, who will meet for 5 hours a day, Monday through Thursday, or I think it's maybe Thursday through Friday, Monday through Thursday. And they'll have it'll look more like a micro school of American Heritage School. And then there's a group up in Boise with 100+ students, and that'll look more like a little sister school of American Heritage School. And so family education centers will take on lots of different forms, and we won't codify those for another year at least. Meaning we won't define like what does a cooperative family education center look like, or what does a micro school family education center look like, or what does an academy family education center look like. But there will be them, maybe others. It's so primitive right now in its development. It's so early in its development that it's important to just state right now that we're building LiftEd to facilitate the organic gathering of people in their communities. And that'll work better in some areas than others. In Utah, where you saw the spike in Nate's graph that he just showed, there will be many families within 5 minutes of every family. That's not going to be the case in Alexandria, Virginia. right? They might have to travel an hour away to find the next closest family, or not family school, but LiftEd family. But as this program grows over the years, that'll become more of a realistic possibility for them to get together on a Friday, or get together on a Monday, or get together whenever they want to get together, right? And do whatever they want to do. Our job will be to build the software that supports that gathering and to provide the resources around which they would want to gather. Maybe they want to do their own patriotic program in a family education center here in Utah this year. Well, they should be able to, right? We should package our patriotic program that we do every year with scripts and music and costumes and food and recipes and everything else that goes into these devotionals that we do here on campus. We should package them in a way that a group could do them. Well, that's a resource, right? And if we produce that resource, then people will start to gather around that resource. And there are hundreds, if not thousands, of things that we do here on this campus that, if packaged the right way, if produced and packaged the right way, would be extremely meaningful to a group of families meeting together wherever they're at in the world. And so that is a tremendous amount of work that has to happen. The curricular development, the software development, alone, those two things are really, really big pieces. And people are stepping up to support that in really important ways, because it costs a lot of money to produce that as well.
Okay. And I haven't seen any other questions. Oh, whoops, I just put, okay. So I just put the Utah Facebook group, but I accidentally put it in with another message where I was answering someone else's question. So that's what that is. There is a separate Utah group as well for Facebook. And that's where you could go to. I have people asking if they're on a trip or something like that and they want to meet with other families. If you join the Facebook group, the families there are very interactive and they answer each other's questions about a lot of things. And I imagine we're not going to have a separate LiftEd Facebook group. I imagine it's going to just still be this main one. Is that right, Peter?
Sorry, I was reading questions while you were answering. I didn't follow.
Okay, I'm saying we're not going to have a separate Facebook group page for LiftEd families, right? It's just going to be our.
Nope.
Oh, we are.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. I have that on my to-do list. We will have a separate page.
To-do list. So as soon as we get that. And Peter, where on our website can they find all the Facebook groups?
That's a good question. I don't know if we have them on our website. We should have them on our Contact Us page. They should be listed there. That'd probably be the most logical place to put them. We invite every family to join automatically through a text they get after they become a member. But you know, if they didn't join then they need to be able to see how to access that. At least from the Contact Us page. That's a good question, Molly. That's a really good question. I would put it there for starters, but we should probably think about how we could help families to be aware of our Facebook page. Maybe it's in the footer of emails, right? The common footer of our emails, that we always have our Facebook groups and pages there that they can join.
Yeah, I think that's important.
You should
Okay.
know that LiftEd will eventually provide some common social feed types of posting where they can post pictures of what they're doing and little videos and they'll have a feed from people that they've friended on the platform, and students will have the same thing. So we are going to experiment with some social networking functionality, some of the most fundamental, like basic functionality of sharing pictures and images and information between friends on the platform. And it's not that we want to give families another platform to manage. It's just that so many families are becoming disenfranchised with Facebook and Instagram and some others that we're strongly considering making LiftEd a social platform as well, that allows them to connect that way and share ideas and resources and friendship and pictures and images. It's a pretty basic, actually. It's not as complicated as what many would maybe think, but it needs to be done in a way that helps children to be safe and families.
Okay.
Probably version 2. Well, not even that won't come during this year. Certainly, maybe version 3. And the whole points thing that April mentioned, at the beginning, that's actually a really important something that I'm really, really excited about. Like she said, we hope that parents use these points to motivate their children to earn the things that you're already going to give them anyway. This whole idea of children earning their way is something that we can really promote in LiftEd. We're going to actually build this gamification piece, the most significant piece of the gamification experience. And when we say gamifications, a lot of times families hear game when they hear gamification. That's obvious, right? It's in the word, but it's less. It's more ed tech motivation than it is gamification. It'll be points will be used in an appropriate way. Not to overdo, we won't overdo that kind of motivation for students, but we want it to be there because it does motivate. But what we really want is for you to have a tool to help use LiftEd to motivate them to do and to earn the things that you want them to do, to become, to earn. And that is a total paradigm shift in the way that we are currently gamifying experiences online. It's not points for point's sake, it's points for the thing that we want them to receive or to do. If they want, I don't know, my sons are into soccer. I told you I was up in Boise last week. They love soccer. And I'm gonna have to buy them a pair of cleats when those cleats fall apart. But when they were really young, I told them, I said, every 1,000 touches that you get earns you this many points. And so one, they practiced harder, right? They did stuff on their own now. They were self-governed in their development as a soccer player because they wanted to earn points to be able to earn the cleats I was already going to buy them. And so now they were earning their way. So we need to have a platform that facilitates that. So when a student logs in, they can see the soccer cleats, or they can see the piano lesson teacher, or the band camp, or the drama camp, or whatever it is that they're doing, that they're interested in, or the scriptures that they want, or what, I mean, it really could just be anything. They actually see the picture of what they're earning. A parent has uploaded the picture. A parent has decided how many points you need to get that. And then LiftEd just drives it for them.
Fishing
Right?
trip.
Yeah, fishing trip with dad. It could just be any number of things that you want your child to work toward, good things. And then all of a sudden, children become less entitled and more eager in their, and more, well, what's the opposite of entitled? More gracious, right? More, they work hard for the things that matter. And it matters to them. This is like a soapbox of mine, sorry.
No, that's good. Anybody notice any other questions? I don't want to miss any. If your question has not been answered, go ahead and raise your hand electronically so Peter can call on you, or I will.
More humble. Yeah, that's a good word. More humble. Less entitled, more humble. Thank you, Kayla. We're down. Let's take one more question if we have one. If we don't, then let's end for the first time ever. Or early. Let's end early for the first time ever. All right. Well, thank you for joining us, everybody. This has been really fun to have you for an hour and a half, and we've recorded this. We'll send it out to everyone. So excited for you to join us this fall. It's going to be an awesome year. Really, really fun experiences that we have forthcoming. We know that we can be so confident in that because kids have been having a really good experience with Power Hour already without all of this other stuff that we've been working on and building. And so it'll go to a whole nother level of engagement and enthusiasm and self-governed learning, the kind of learning that helps them to be more useful in the hands of the Lord and building the kingdom of God on earth. And that's ultimately what all of this is driving at, right? Self-learners who are learning in a way that helps them to become more useful in the hands of the Lord and building the kingdom of God on earth. That's the ultimate, it's the first point of our mission statement. And everything points to that. And they can do that in so many meaningful ways and so many fun ways, and together, connected with you and with other students and with great teachers and great coaches. They don't have to sell the car or downsize the home to do it, or big child. Okay, we love you. We're grateful for you, and we will see you on sometime in July with the next, meeting the coaches, meeting the teachers, and then their classmates experiences as well. So those will all probably be coming later in July. Oh, one last thing, July 8th, we're going to send an email. We would love for you to join us for a ribbon cutting of our new studio down in Vineyard. It's at noon. And if you're close, if you're here in Utah and want to join us in person, we'd love to have you there. It'll be a little bit tight, but we can kind of rotate through the studio, and you can see the studio that we've built, or the set that we've built out, where we're recording all the teacher content this year. But it would be really fun to have some of you who are close enough join us. And then
When is that?
it's on the 8th of July, July 8th at noon. And we'll have some food that we're serving, but we'll be streaming it. So families who want to participate in that from wherever can join us. Really
There'll be
excited. What's that?
no going out where they can join. and all
Yeah,
that.
all that will be sent in an email. Okay, thank you. Have a great day, everyone. Bye now.